Evening traders, it's Simon at Kairos Capital Markets with a weekly review of Aussie dollar and pound yen. So last week the dollar kind of just dropped out the sky a bit, and I wanted to wait till end of Monday just to see how it's kind of reacting after it's had a weekend off to see what's going to happen. And as you can see, this is the weekly chart on the DXY here, the weekly chart. And as you can see, I've outlined the circle here at 88. Now I know in the past, many months ago, I did say 88 is always a possibility, but to be honest with you, it does give good value to buy the dollar there, but I didn't never really think it would get there. But looking at this weekly chart here, you are making lower highs, lower lows, and the fact that this bar here is so bearish, you have to obviously look up, smell the coffee and go, do you know what, that's not really, this isn't a bullish chart at the moment. So with that said, I will now go to the US dollar index, and this gives a different picture. At the moment, you've got a key level at 11700 on the weekly chart. 1, 2, 3 touches already. It's the fourth touch now. So you're in this predicament where one chart says bearish and one chart says it's at support. So when buying the dollar or even selling the dollar at the moment, just be careful. We are in a bit of a tricky situation here. Now, obviously, when I actually said last week about the Aussie dollar, I didn't like it's in the middle of nowhere. We now go to that and have a look what happened there. So I mentioned here it was, this is last week's candle here. This is the current week now. It's last week's. This is the candle we was looking at, and I said I wouldn't want to short here on the daily chart because I didn't particularly like the actual weekly. It's in the middle of nowhere. And if I just show what happened on the daily chart, look what happened there. So a lot of people I know did start shorting here. Now I did say I didn't like it. I didn't think it's the greatest in the world. It only 3 days down, boom, back up again. And this is again partly because the Aussie did power up a little bit, but at the same time the dollar was so weak here. So again, when you look at the Aussie dollar now, 0.80 is kind of the next key level anyway, which is always on the radar. And I think that will see a bit of a sell-off there, or at least a pause in the market. But again, it does depend how the dollar reacts. So this week, for the moment, I'm just going to see what happens at 0.80, and I'll make my decision throughout the week and maybe next week what we're going to do next with this trade. So for the moment, I do see it heading up towards 0.8. It may pull back down to test 787. It may well do. If it does, there might be a little short-term trade long there again. You might get some value there. But to be honest with you, I just think it's going to move to 80 now, in all fairness, as it did here before. It popped up and it moved up, had a little tiny, not even a pullback, just a bearish day, then popped back up higher. So you might get the same here as well. So that's what I'll kind of expect here. So euro dollar. Now euro dollar, I did take a short position here and I did get stopped out. So we don't win them all. I like the value there. The DXY was looking kind of a good support level there, and I've gotten a very good price, so I really couldn't fault what I was looking at. But again, we're going to go to the weekly chart now, and I want to show you something here now as well. This is a key thing here. Now, I've outlined this yellow box, and if you notice, every time we've gone and tested the yellow box, we've tested it, then moved out. But here we've sliced the right way through it. Here obviously we test it and move back down again. So what I'm looking at now really is this: we haven't tested it, we've moved through it. If you look here again, this week's chart, we just sliced through that chart there on this 1.215 level, that little box there. So personally myself, bear in mind I always wanted to short the euro. I think we moved to 1.25 now, and I think that happened in the next 2 weeks. Over the next 2 weeks, I think we'll move to 1.25. That's where I'm looking at for the next order to sell at, because if you look at the bigger picture here, you've got this downward sloping trend line. It's key. It's 10-year trend line, that is. If we break above this area here, so if we get any close around this area here at all, that's the really the first bullish sign for, well, this whole entire pair for such a long time. So for that to happen, you need a lot of fundamentals to change. I mean, even with the dollar and the euro, you'd need a lot of fundamentals to change. So you need to bear that in mind as well if we do go long later on. But for the moment, what I do see as value would be this. Where are we? So I've got a level at 1.215. That's my level, and we're going to bring this down here. 1.215 is there, and it's not very key in the daily, obviously. But what I do believe will happen is this. I believe we'll pull back around to this area here, so price is going to pop back down to here somewhere, and that there I think would be a very, very nice buy opportunity. I know we're buying the highs here, and I wouldn't say take it long term. I'll just in and out trade. There'd be a few opportunities here if it does pull back there, but if it pulls back there and gives you a higher test on this chart here, then I'd say no. So it's one of these charts where you have to sit in your hands again, and like I said, all these dollar pairs are the same at the moment. You have to sit in your hand and just trade what you see, not what you think at the moment. So what I see at the moment is a huge bullish move upwards, and we do need some form of pullback, we do, and a test of 1.2 would do that, but then we break for the zone here, so maybe 1.215, that kind of area, but I do see 1.25 being the ultimate goal here. So just bear that in mind when taking this pair at the moment. I'm not bearish at all now. Like I said, I got out my position. I was happy to get out my position. I get out when I'm wrong, simple as that, and that's what's happened there. So I was wrong on the thesis, and then we'll see what happens next. Like I said, next value area is 1.25. So pound yen now. For me, pound yen's been quite messy. I know some people have been trading it quite nicely, but what I see here now, really at the moment, I see this rising wedge forming here. And with a rising wedge, I obviously know it will be as a bearish type trade that is happening. So no matter how you draw the trend lines here, if you draw for the open highs and lows, or the open and close, you always get this kind of like wedge formation happening. So for me, we are due a pullback, and a pullback looks like to be 147.5. That would be logical as well onto the daily chart, and that would make sense here. Otherwise, you're going to keep grinding high in this wedge you are to 155 and then break down. So 155 I think is still on the cards, quite happily with this trade on the weekly perspective, but how we get there, I do think we need a pullback. So when you look at the daily chart has been, you've got this upward sloping trend I've had drawn in for ages. I know some people bought here. I didn't want to buy in the middle of the zone. I really didn't want that at all, and like I said, I think we're not really broken out this zone at all. If you look what's happened here, there's no breakout at all, guys. It's just a zone. It popped out, then just come crashing back in, come out, and then stopped again. It has. So for me, there's no buying incentive there whatsoever, and I think the area of to look at to buy again would be around about this area here somewhere. That would be my next area here to buy, and you know, we'll go from there as it happens. You may find get a little mini head and shoulder pattern here, then move down. You may get that. But yeah, that's what I'll be looking at in total, really, in all fairness, for this pair at the moment. So for me, all this is a mess. I don't like it. It's not my style of trading. If you notice that it's grinding down, pops up, grinds down, pops up, grinds, pops down, pops up. It's all over the place. It's not smooth as it used to be. So for me, I'm not interested in this pair either at the moment. So like I said, so a quick recap: you've got Aussie dollar at 0.8 to look at. You've got the euro dollar to look at 1.25 ultimate goal over the next 2 weeks. But you also got news on the 25th, I think, of January from Draghi speaking about the euro as well. So that would be interesting to hear what he says. And then this pair here, which I think is a bit messy at the moment. I'm not particularly too interested in it. I want to see a breakout. I want to see some movement, some breathing. That's what I want to look here. Okay, guys, take care, and I'll speak to you soon.